Mario Kart Double Dash was my first Mario Kart game, but Mario Kart Wii was where I truly fell in love with the series. It was the first game me and my sister got really competitive with. Going back to play it now on Dolphin, and it looks kind of dated. So today I'm going to show you how to make it go from looking like this to looking like this. 4K, 60 frames per second with some graphical tweaks and a nice HD texture pack to clean up the UI. I'm also going to show you how you can start the game with everything unlocked if you want to just fire it up and go through your favourite tracks, set up your controllers for single player and multiplayer, run multiplayer in 60 frames per second instead of the 30 frames per second that is the default, and I'm also working on a video on how to install the best mods for Mario Kart Wii as well. These add new tracks, retro tracks, and new characters. So if you're interested in that, then consider subscribing to the channel. It should be out in a few days after this video. So let's crack on with this tutorial. First, you're going to need Dolphin installed on your computer. I've got a link in the description down below to a video if you haven't done that already. You're also going to need a legitimate copy of Mario Kart Wii. I cannot tell you where to download these games on YouTube. It goes against their terms of service and will have me struck down with the hammer of Thor. You'll need my .ini file, the GameCube .ini file that is in my G drive. I will leave a link to this in the description down below as well. And also you're going to need this HD texture pack from GhostlyDark, MKW Reloaded. That will also be in the description down below. Everything you need, everything I talk about will be in the description down below and possibly in a pinned comment. We'll start as always with the controller setup. Now Mario Kart Wii did use a lot of motion controls, but it also had the advantage of being one of the games that uses a traditional control scheme. You can find a list of all the games that use traditional control schemes that can either use the classic controller or the GameCube controller on Wikipedia. And if we scroll down and find Mario Kart Wii, we'll find that this game uses both the classic controller and the GameCube controller. And my personal preference for this is to set up the GameCube controller as it's the easiest out of the two. If you're ever playing a game and wondering if it does support the GameCube controller and you've already got a setup on Dolphin, then you can come here and check out if it's in here. I've done videos on how to set up both of these controllers before, but I'll probably update them in the future. Now, if you watch my Double Dash video, then you've already set up your GameCube controller and you are good to go. The only thing you really have to do is go to Controllers, and where it says Wii Remote, make sure here that it says None so that it doesn't detect that there's a Wii Remote plugged in. Click Close and you can skip to the next section of this video. If you haven't, there is an easy way and a difficult way to set up these controllers. We'll start with the easy way. Now, if you click the link in the description down below, it'll take you to this GC pad folder, and just click download and download the folder. Then you should get this GC pad zip folder, double click on it, and you'll see this GC pad folder. Now we need to find our user folder for Dolphin. Now I have mine in the same place where my dolphin.executable is. I did this by creating a new text document by right-clicking, clicking New, Text Document, and calling it Portable, launching Dolphin, and my user folder would appear here. If you've already used Dolphin before, you have saved games, and you have other things like that, you can still do this, but you're going to want to find your user folder anyway. Sometimes it is in your Documents folder, so if you go to Documents, there will be a folder here for Dolphin Emulator, and you want the user folder from there. And then you can just copy it to this folder here, where you have your portable.txt folder, and make sure that you replace all the files to keep all your saves and other configurations. Recently, it hasn't been in the Documents folder, it has been in the App Data folder, which is a hidden folder. So to get to that, you go to Windows, Users, find your name, your username, double click on that, and this App Data folder here is hidden. So to see it, you go to View, go down to where it says Show, and make sure that this hidden items thing is ticked. So if I tick it, it goes away. And then if I click it again and tick it, App Data will show. You go to App Data, Local. In here will be a Dolphin Emulator folder, and this is where your user folder will be. Going back to my user folder, if I double click on User, I want Config as the next folder to click into, and then Profiles. And there should be a folder here called GC Pad. If there isn't, then you just drag and drop this GC Pad one over. If there is a GC Pad one, just double click into it, and you're going to want the GameCube.ini that's inside the GC Pad folder here. Drag that over and make sure that it's in User, Config, Profiles, GC Pad, GameCube. Close it up, go back to Dolphin, click Controllers. Where it says GameCube Controllers, make sure that port 1 is set to a standard controller. Again, make sure that the Wii Remote 1 is set to None. Click Configure, Where it says profile, click the drop down box and GameCube should be here. Click that and press load. If GameCube doesn't appear, close Dolphin, open it up again and it should be there. Now I'm using my PlayStation 5 controller for this. I set this up with an Xbox controller, but it's really simple. This works with PS5 controllers, PS4 controllers and Xbox controllers. So if you click the drop down box here and we will find the SDL/0 and then the name of your controller. So as you can see, I'm using a DualSense wireless controller. And if I move my left analog stick, this red dot here moves, which shows me that the analog sticks are both working. I press the triggers, and when I press buttons, lights flash all around. That's how I know it's working. Now, if that works for you, that's fantastic. You can move to the next section of this video. Now, if that didn't work for you, if you don't have an SDL controller, if you don't have a Xbox, PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5 controller, then I'm going to show you how to do it all manually. So press clear to reset everything. So click on where it says device and find your controller. And then now we just click the boxes and press the buttons. So for A, I like to use X. For B, I like to use circle. For X, I like to use square. For Y, I like to use triangle, which is ABXY on the Xbox controller. For the Z button, I use R1 or RB. And then for the start button, just the simple options button will do. Go down to the D-pad and it's a similar process. You click, press up on the D-pad, click, press down on the D-pad, click where it says left, press left on the D-pad, click where it says right, press right on the D-pad. For the control stick, this is the left analog stick, so you're just going to want to click and flick it in the direction that you want to go. So click, flick up, click, flick down, click, flick left, click, flick right. If I move my analog stick around, the red dot here will move as well. And as I move back to the center, I can see that the red dot here isn't going directly at the center, so there's probably a little bit of stick drift here. So I'm just going to cancel that out with the dead zone. So it says dead zone here. If we just move this up a few paces, put it to around 10%, it's probably a bit much. Yeah, put it about 8%. So you'll see the dead zone. If I put it up completely, you can see that the dead zone starts here at 21%. This little area here is the dead zone. That's too much. So I'm just going to bring it down to where my controller rests. So that's about 10%. That's a lot more than it usually is. Oh, there, it's dead in the middle now, but yeah, after a little flick, it goes back. Next, we do the C stick, which I use the right analog stick for. So once again, click up, click down, click left, click right, flick right. And then again, with the dead zone, give it a flick and just see where my right analog stick rests. And just put the, not so bad on this one, put it down to about 8% there. I'll just put it at 10 to be safe. And now for the analog triggers. This is why we use L2 and the left trigger on the PlayStation and Xbox controllers. So if we press L and press L2 or the left trigger, and then where it says L-analog, click again and press the left trigger again. Now you can see as I push my left analog trigger down just a little bit, it's not until I fully press it down that it clicks. Same again with the right trigger. So where it says R, click and press the right trigger, and R-analog, click and press the right trigger, and then just give it a cheeky test. That is working fine. So if I didn't use that R-analog, you can see it's just a simple 1 and 0, and there's no analog triggers there. Which is probably not really that important for Mario Kart, as the right trigger is the drift button and the left trigger, I think, is the item button, or it's the other way around. Anyway, it's not really a big deal to have analog triggers, but if you're going to play more GameCube games, you might as well set this up. Finally, for the motor and the rumble, if you click where it says motor, it'll bring up this menu. There are 3 motors here on the Xbox version. There are 5, but the most common ones are L and R. So I press motor L, press insert output, click operators, or click motor R and click insert output, and then I just click test output and my controller rumbles. Click OK, and I'm just going to click always connected to make sure it's always connected. Next, you're going to want to calibrate your analog sticks. If you take a look at the red dot here, when I push it, it goes completely past the boundaries of where the control stick's supposed to go, which means it can be hypersensitive in some games. So if I click calibrate, and what you want to do is to lift your analog stick up. As it says, for the best possible results, slowly move your input to all possible regions. Click OK. And then you just want to do a slow circle round on your analog stick, putting it at the maximum region which it can reach. It creates a little circle. And now when I move, you can see the red dot is now at the absolute edge of the controller, and the grey dot is where it actually is. Same with the C stick. Click calibrate, flick up, click OK, and then slowly move around. Do it a couple of times just to make sure that you get all of the edges. It's kind of like when you set up your fingerprint sensor on your phone. Click finish calibration, and you are done. That is two pretty round controllers there. Just a slight edge here, probably. Anyway, go to Profile, type in GameCube, and press Save to save your profile. So let's move on to multiplayer. I might not have any friends to play with, but you probably do. So to set up the multiplayer controllers, as you can see where it says GameCube controllers, in the controller settings, we have port 2, port 3, port 4. Click on the drop-down box and change it to a standard controller. So if you're playing 2-player, use port 2, 3-player, port 2 and 3, and 4-player, if you have that many friends, you can set them all to standard controller. And because I only have 2 controllers and 0 friends, I'm just going to set up 2 controllers. So if we go to port 2, standard controller, and press configure, and you set it up exactly like we just did in the previous section. And the first thing I do is I go to profile, go to GameCube, and click load. And then in the device section, I find my controller, so SDL0 PS4 controller. Now when I move my left and my analog stick, the red dot moves around. I press the buttons and things are lighting up, so that's how I know everything is working. And it really is that simple. So now I've set everything up is a 3-player. I'm using my mouse and keyboard as the third controller. And as you can see, it is locked at 30 frames per second. Now there is a way to unlock that at 60 frames per second if you play with 3 to 4 players. And I'm going to show you how to do that now. So if you look in the link in the description down below, you'll find a couple of codes. The NTSC-U version is the American version, and the PAL version is the European version. To find out which version you have, you go to Dolphin, right-click, go to Properties, and it says here, Country, USA. It will say like UK, EU version if you're on the PAL version. Find the code that you need, right-click, and copy it. Then go back to Dolphin, right-click on Mario Kart Wii, go to Properties, go to Gecko codes. First, click download codes to make sure that you get all the other codes as well, and click OK. Then click add new code. Call it the 60 FPS multiplayer. Then in the code section, copy it in and click save. Then if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, your 60 FPS multiplayer code will be there. Make sure that it is ticked and click close. One final thing to do is to go to config and make sure that enable cheats is on to enable the Gecko codes. And now with this code on, it is running at 60 frames per second for everyone in 3 to 4 player multiplayer. It really is that simple. I can't control 3 things at the same time, but that's pretty much it. That code is done. So now we have 60 FPS, our controllers set up. It's now time to mess around with the graphics. So if you go to the graphics section on Dolphin, I use Direct 3D 11. You can use Vulkan or Direct 3D 12. It depends what works best with your graphics card. Where it says shader compilation, I change that to specialized. Then I'm going to launch the game. We'll start by going to the advanced tab. I'm going to click show FPS, show VPS, and show percentage speed so that all of these appear in the top right corner. This shows us the maximum speed that the emulator is capable of running, the speed that it's currently running at, and the frames per second. So we can judge how many enhancements we can add and how it affects our CPU and frames per second. So go over to the enhancements tab in graphics where it says internal resolution. I'm going to whack that all the way up to 4K. You can already start to see a difference within the game. So knock that back for you. Back down to native resolution. This is the game in native resolution. And instantly you can see it looks a lot clearer and a lot better. It's still a couple of blurry things going on here, but it looks a lot better. We go back to the graphics tab, anti-aliasing. Now, usually I set this to 4x SSAA. But if I do that, for some reason on this game, it really does not like it. My speed, my max, maybe your GPU is better than mine. So for this one, I use 2 times SSAA. I could theoretically just use 1080p as I'm just using a 1080p monitor, but I promise to show you how it runs in 4K. The texture filtering on this game, we actually have to leave it to default. If we go to the Dolphin Wiki and scroll all the way down to where it says configuration, texture filtering needs to be set to default because anisotropic can break various effects within the game. So for this game, I'm going to keep that at default. And that is literally all we need to do as far as the graphics settings are concerned. And the final thing we're going to do is just clean up this UI using a HD texture pack and maybe make a couple of the textures a little bit brighter. And if you've watched any of my videos before, you probably know where this is going. So click the link in the description down below to this GitHub page. And where it says assets, click the mkw-reloaded 02.0 dds.7zip and download that file. Once that's downloaded, you might need 7-zip if you're using Windows 10 or below, but on Windows 11 you can just double click and open this folder. We're going to get 2 file explorers side by side, one with my Dolphin folder and the other with the MKW Reloaded DDS. We'll double click into that and there'll be these folders here, characters, effects, ending, all of this. So once again, we need our user folder, our Dolphin user folder. It could be in documents, it could be in app data, but if you've listened to what I said earlier in the .ini file, you should have a user folder next to your dolphin.exe. If not, go to documents or go to app data and find it. We can go user, load, textures, and in this folder, we're going to right click, new folder, and then we're going to call it RMC. I'm going to call it RMC, all capital letters. You can see I have other texture folders here from previous videos, but we want RMC. Double click on this new folder and just drag all of these folders into the RMC folder that we just created. It's 1.91 gigabytes, so it might take a little bit of time. So get yourself a nice cup of tea or a cup of coffee, whatever your poison is. Once that's all copied over, go back to Dolphin. Fire up Mario Kart Wii, go to the graphics section, go to advanced, click load custom textures, and you can see instantly that it is changed, and make sure that prefetch custom textures is enabled as well if you have the RAM for it. If you're getting a bit of stutter, then you're going to want to turn this off. And just to show you the difference between the two, I've set up a hotkey. So here is the game without the custom textures. You can see that the mushrooms here are a bit blurry. If I press shift, as they load up, you see they get a lot sharper, and a lot of the textures in the left here all change as well. I'll do that one more time like Mr. Miyagi. Custom texture pack off. Custom texture pack on. Custom texture pack off. Custom texture pack on. And it just cleans up the game a little bit, makes the UI a little bit clearer as well, and just makes some of the textures a little bit brighter, making it a lot better for modern monitors and modern computers. And now we're finished with the graphics, it's time to show you how to unlock everything. You saw while I was playing, I had everything unlocked, all the characters, all the bikes and everything. So the first thing you need to do is to launch Mario Kart Wii and create yourself a new license. Then once you've got a saved game, click the link in the description down below to the game FAQs page, and you'll see these saved game folders. The one that I use is number 2 by YT the Bobby Bobs, the one that has all 3 stars, all characters unlocked and everything unlocked in the game. You can choose whichever one you want here, and if you're using the PAL version of the game, you're going to want a Europe version of the save. So if I just download this save, then go back to Dolphin, go to Tools, and again, you're going to already have to have a saved game for Mario Kart Wii. Click Import Wii Save, go to your Downloads folder, and just double click. It says there's already a saved file for it, overwrite the existing data. Yes, click OK. And then now, when I launch Mario Kart Wii, I have all of these blank licenses, but everything is filled out. Choose one, select a me, and we'll just go to the single player to check. See, all of the modes are available. Mirror mode, 150cc. All of the characters are unlocked, including Dry Bowser, Funky Kong. All of the carts and bikes are available to choose from. And all of the cups are available to play. And that is it for this video. If you've liked this video, then please hit that like button. Let me know down in the comments which is your favourite track on Mario Kart Wii. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments as well. I usually answer as many questions as I can when I have the time. And I've got quite a bit of time on my hands right now, so get them in while you can. Also, I'm going to be making another video about... Also, I'm going to make another Mario Kart Wii video where I show you some of the fantastic mods that are available. These have been going since 2014 and are still being updated to this day. They add custom tracks, retro tracks, they add new game modes, some of them even add new characters. There's a lot of modding that goes on within this game. If you go to GameBanana.com, you will find a lot of mods. These mods that I'm going to be looking at put all of probably the best mods and the best tracks into one whole file. There's one called the Insane Kart mod, which has like 4,832 custom tracks, apparently. That's a lot of tracks, and it has a lot of different features, a lot of new game modes to try out and play. I mean, I think it'd take you a whole year to go through that entire mod there. So I'm going to be showing you how to set up that, and I'm going to give it a little bit of a play as well. I don't think I'm going to go spend all my time on it though, because it is an actual insane amount of content there. Did I say all the classic YouTuber shit? There, thanks to all of my Patreons who, without this, it wouldn't be possible. The names of my Patreons will be on the screen right now. Thanks to anyone that's subscribed recently, actually. Anyone that's wrote a little comment, a cheeky comment saying thank you and things like that. I appreciate all of that. This video's probably gone on for too long, so I want it to stay fresh in the algorithm. So, take care. Have a fantastic day. Let me know any Wii games. I don't really know what to say on the end of these.